Is not one size fits all approach. It should be individualized for the family as well as the learner. And it's okay as a parent if you're hesitant. It's okay to advocate for yourself and ask questions if you are looking for an ABA provider.
That quote comes from Alisha Simpson Watt. Alisha is a licensed clinical social worker, a board certified behavioral analyst, a licensed behavior analyst, and the founder and executive director of Collaborative ABA Services in Middletown, Connecticut. This week, I'm sharing with you Alicia's guest appearance inside my membership, where she had the opportunity to talk to moms about ABA services and answer their questions. So, with that, Alisha, thank you so much for joining us. Please introduce yourself.
As Lisa mentioned, I'm Alicia. And a little bit about my background, I am the executive clinical director and also founder of Collaborative ABA Services here in Middletown, Connecticut. I'm a licensed clinical social worker at Collaborative ABA. We work with children diagnosed with autism, other behavioral and developmental disorders. And the children are ages 2 to 18. And we utilize a holistic interdisciplinary team approach to treatment. So not only do we have BCBAs, we also offer occupational therapy, speech therapy, social skills, parent trainings with social work. So we try to encompass the whole child.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into this work.
So, long story short, I started out as a school social worker and I worked in an inner city school district and I had some kiddos on my caseload that were on the spectrum. At the time, autism wasn't talked about. I wanted to go back to school and learn more because I was very interested in this new field of ABA. And I ended up going back to school to become a BCBA in addition to social worker. I was so impressed by the ABA world and the science behind it. And then also to come back full circle, my daughter was later diagnosed with autism as well. It came back full circle, working as a provider with children on the spectrum and implementing ABA therapy, but also being a parent.
How old is your daughter now?
She is 9.
What is ABA therapy? Why are we doing it for children with autism?
ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis, and ABA is basically an evidence-based approach to treatment, and it focuses on the science of learning and understanding what we call behavior change. It helps us understand the relationship between the environment as well as the behavior, utilizing the principles of what we call applied behavior analysis. And interestingly, the reason why it's evidence-based or scientific-based is because there have been studies on the effectiveness of the different strategies that we use in ABA therapy on different populations. ABA has been linked a lot to autism, but they are finding that it does benefit other populations as well. It's just a lot of the studies have been on the autism population.
I get into your clinic, I'm really excited and I'm really scared because I'm hearing all of these terrible things about ABA. Can you address that for me and how you handle that with clients?
At the beginning, we always invite families or parents to ask questions. The other thing is explaining to the family what ABA is and what ABA isn't is very important because I know that there are a lot of myths out there. For example, people think it's only for children with autism, but it's for different populations. Also, there's some rumors out there that they think that ABA therapy is just a child sitting at a table, and that's not necessarily what ABA therapy is about. It might be a piece of some of the strategies, but we try to work more in the child's natural environment because the goal is to increase those skills, rather it be in their natural environment, in the school setting, in the community setting, and also reducing what we call maladaptive behaviors. Some of the things that you may want to ask a provider is, what do you have as far as staffing wise? Who's on your staff? Is it just a BCBA and a behavior technician, or do you also have other providers like occupational therapy or speech? Also, ask those questions. What is your approach to treatment? Do you utilize an interdisciplinary approach where all the providers collaborate and work together? Or is it more you guys are just only focused on ABA? Do you guys collaborate with other providers? Also, Some other questions may be to ask the providers, what are their expectations for therapy? Is there a minimum number of hours that my child has to participate to receive services, or are you guys flexible with our schedule? And lastly, I would also ask, how is data collected? How is it shared with the family? As a parent, what is my role in treatment? Do I have say in that treatment plan or the assessment process, and what goals my child will be working on?
Thank you so much for that, Alicia. Those questions are so helpful. With that, Alicia, let's shift gears. I have some wonderful moms here with us this evening, and they have questions. Rachel, you are up first.
I have two boys. They're 7 and 9. The 7-year-old is on the spectrum and goes to ABA therapy. He leaves school at 1 o'clock and he goes until either 5 or 4:30. It's been a great experience. I mean, he loves going there. But my question is, I still feel uncomfortable talking to like adults with autism who say that ABA therapy was traumatic for them. And I don't know what the best way to answer that is. Obviously, I can share my experience, our experience, but can you talk a little bit more about how things have changed or how it looks different now than it might have?
Yeah, so over the years, our field has been more regulated. So it's the BACB. They are the people that certify all of the board certified behavior analysts, board certified assistant behavior analysts, and registered behavior technicians. And they oversee us. We have to do so many CEUs and trainings. We also have to abide by ethical codes of conduct. They hold us at very high expectations. We have to make sure that we do no harm to our clients. We have to make sure that we're always acting in the best interest of our clients. Over the years, I think the field has changed because when it first started, I don't think that it was as regulated as it is today. And one of the things that has changed in ABA was now they're realizing, like, before it used to be, if you don't see it, it doesn't exist. And so, like, internal states with data collection and stuff, if you don't see it, it's not considered behavior. But now they're actually realizing that the mental health part of it that you can't see does impact behavior, which is why now they're moving more towards like trauma focused lens and realizing like things like trauma do also impact the child. Everyone's trauma experience is different. And so sometimes you might have a kid that might have been separated from their parents for a period of time because of something that was outside of their control that can become a traumatic experience for a child. Trauma is based on the event and also how the person responds to the event.
Anybody else want to pipe in with questions?
My child is almost 10. Should this have been something I thought about? Should I have thought about ABA early on, or have we missed some window?
With ABA therapy and a lot of other interventions, they always say you want to start early. Everybody's situation is different. And at this moment, you say your child is 10. So if they were to start now, it's still beneficial because the overall goal of ABA therapy is behavior change and teaching those skills.
And so, what would be the reasons that a parent would enroll their child in ABA?
So some of the reasons a parent may enroll their child in ABA is, of course, if there's some behavior challenges with the child that may have aggression or elopement, for example, or they're having an issue with the child following through on request, they may want to seek ABA therapy to help with reducing those challenging behaviors and working on what we call replacement behaviors. Other reasons might be there might be a child that struggles with communication or language, like with the autism diagnosis, right? You have a kiddo that has deficits in social communication. So those might be some challenges for a kiddo, such as inability to pick up on social cues or having trouble interacting with peers, for example, or having difficulty understanding nonverbal communication or understanding body language. ABA therapy can also help with those skills in regards to working with that child. Also, it can be used for teaching attending if you have a kiddo that has a hard time sitting at a table or attending to tasks. So, some of the skills that we use in ABA therapy may help increase those attending skills. Also, completing different tasks. A kiddo might have a hard time brushing their teeth or doing other daily living tasks, such as making their bed or washing their hands. In ABA therapy, we may teach by what we call chaining or breaking up a larger skill into small manageable tasks for a kiddo, are just some examples.
One of the things, Alisha, we all live in this terror that we've missed a window or we haven't done the thing by the time. Can you speak to that?
As a parent, you got to give yourself grace and be kind to yourself. And it's okay if things don't always work out because our lives are busy and we have a lot going on. We're human. If we aren't able to get our child services earlier, it could be different barriers. Maybe your child was diagnosed late at the age of 7, like in my situation. It's okay because ABA therapy is great, but also in addition to ABA therapy, there's other therapies out there too, like occupational therapy, as well as speech therapy and social skills.
I have a question along the lines of timing too. In the spring, our son started at a new ABA center, which we really are happy with and love. One of the things they showed us on the tour was they have this room that's set up like an apartment. It has a kitchen for middle school, high school, to teach life skills. Sometimes the older kids are making popcorn. That seems really cool in terms of social skills. But my son is only 7, so he's not at that point yet. Our hope is eventually he'll go to full days of school instead of leaving for ABA. In my mind, that would mean there was a gap, right? Can you restart services later when he was like a teenager? Or is it better to consistently stay with it?
Kids on the spectrum in general do very well with consistency and routines. And one thing that you could do is talk to the ABA agency about seeing if they offer in home because some kiddos, they may get services after school hours, which a lot of kiddos do because they're in school full day. So that could be something that you can bring up to your provider and talk about transition planning in advance, and you may be able to collaborate and work on a plan to transition him to full day of school and still get the services he needs.
My question is, as a mother who has a child with autism and you're a BCBA, do you feel like your BCBA knowledge and education is without it, do you feel like you wouldn't even know what you would do? Is it worth it to pursue a BCBA or something like that as a parent to have that knowledge to be able to best work with your child or children?
Part of ABA therapy is that parent training component. And the purpose of parent training is to teach you those skills that they're learning in ABA therapy so that the child can generalize those skills. And eventually you won't need the ABA team anymore. So that's huge. And parent training really should be occurring, if not weekly, at least twice a month. I would ask the agency, what are your policies around parent training? Is there a minimum that the BCBA it has to meet with me to provide parent training? Because those are huge. I feel your frustration with the turnover, and kudos to you for going to school to be a speech and language pathologist because there's a shortage of them. If you want to go back to school to be a BCBA, I have met an actual speech and language pathologist who was also a BCBA.
Unfortunately, the parent training piece was always missing. And I didn't realize it until the second company that we were on, ABA company, that it was even supposed to be part of the package.
Part of the parent training process, if he has a behavior plan, that's also part of the parent training where the BCBA trained you on those strategies of how to respond to behaviors. I heard what you said earlier about him having new behaviors, and that's common. A lot of times when we extinguish one behavior, we might see new behaviors. They might look different, but sometimes they might all serve the same reason or the same function. And so that's where the parent training piece comes in. And the BCBA works with the family or on how to respond when these behaviors occur. What can we do for preventative strategies to prevent the behavior from occurring so that we don't have to always be reactive? It sounds like your child is still in ABA therapy. When he gets in, I would definitely ask those questions about the staffing, their approach to treatment, their expectations, and also what does their parent training look like?
My son's ABA is in a center, and now that he's in first grade, There's times at school where he doesn't do his work. But I would love for him to work on it when he goes there. I know they're not like glorified tutors. That's not their job to help him finish his math worksheet. But I do think it can be a good tool to help him. Like one of the things he struggles with is sitting down and doing it. That's something they could practice with. Is that an expectation that I can, or a conversation I should have about could he do some of his schoolwork?
One thing about insurances is that they frown upon any academic based goals because insurance feels that the school is a separate entity and that Medicaid funds special education. That is the school's responsibility to focus on those educational goals. And so a lot of funders won't accept treatment plans that have things related to academic and the goal setting. You can definitely talk to them about sitting for longer durations of time or tolerating, for example, non-preferred tasks. They can, but as far as expecting them to actually do his homework with him, you may get some pushback because a lot of the insurance feels that medical and school related services are two separate entities.
That's helpful, but it sounds like you might be able to finesse it in a way where it's a task that they want, but
Right.
also using
Yeah, saying that non-preferred activity, like practice doing a non-preferred activity, and that could be surprise your worksheet.
Yes.
But definitely collaborate with the center, with the staff, with the BCBA, and have that conversation with them. And you guys may be able to come up with some goals that can benefit him and also help you.
Alisha, thank you so much for coming and answering our questions. We really do appreciate your frankness with us. Where can people find you?
So they can find me on Collaborative ABA Services. We have our Instagram accounts, Facebook, TikTok. We also have a YouTube channel, which we have a collab talk series, which we talk about autism and everything in between. And then also LinkedIn, TikTok.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. I hope you found that conversation helpful and benefited from some of the questions that members asked. If you find yourself struggling with decisions as an autism mom and you're looking for more tailored support and community in your journey as an autism mom, schedule a consultation call with me using the link in the comments. I would love to get to know you more. I'd love to hear what you're struggling with, what you're looking for, and talk to you about how I can support you in feeling better, feeling more confident and in control as an autism mom. Talk to you next week. Thanks.